Hey, what's going on, guys? Jake Verdon Tech here, back with another video, and we're trying this again, but today we are going to be doing the My Setup Tour 2020. So I'm going to take you guys on a tour through my YouTube / gaming setup. Like I just mentioned, I tried this earlier. I was going to do it a little bit more vlog style, but unfortunately all the footage I got, the audio was really crummy, so we're trying it again, and instead I'm just going to be in my normal set right here, and I'll have a bunch of B-roll showing my setup. So starting off the setup tour, we're going to start with the entertainment center, which for you guys it's actually just behind the camera over that way, so it'd be to the left of my desk, and that's where I have a 42-inch 1080p LG TV that I mainly just use for mainly console gaming and using types of entertainment systems like that. So for my consoles, I have the Xbox One S and I have the Nintendo Switch, which they're two of probably my favorite consoles right now. I've had those two for quite a while. I love the Nintendo Switch. It's kind of a must-have if you're a Nintendo fan and you really want to get into all those exclusive titles that Nintendo has. So this is also the spot too where I keep my NKSM1 build. That's a mini ITX build I did on the channel. And it was my daily driver for a while, but now that we got the water-cooled system up and running, it's kind of been more of like my media entertainment PC. So I keep it on the entertainment center as well for like YouTube and stuff like that. So moving from the entertainment center closer to my desk, I actually do have a network rack that sits right in between my entertainment center and my desk. And I basically just have a PoE switch in there and some networking equipment, and I also use a lot of it as storage. I have a couple shelves where I just keep my external hard drives. I got a joystick and HOTAS set up that I store under there when I'm not using it, so it really comes in handy and it's nice having it. Right now I have the switch unhooked and I'm using a secondary switch just because the 24 port PoE switch just makes a lot of noise and it's not great for videos like this. So I'm going to have to come up with a different solution for that. But even with that, I still really like having the network setup very close to my desk, to my PC, and all of my devices that I can run hard wires to. I don't have anything wired through the patch panel yet, but that will be coming pretty soon. And on top of the network rack right now, I do have my Christmas tree set up, and I didn't really get around to putting any ornaments on it. I just have the plain lights, so pretty lazy of me, but I tried. So on top of the network rack, I also do have just a metal tray that usually would be used for a slide out tray for a rack like this, but this one actually didn't fit in this particular network rack, so I just set it on top. But it's really nice because it kind of extends my desk and I can set other things on top of it, like my headphones, stuff like that, so it comes in handy. So moving closer to the desk, and on top of there, like I said, I keep my headphones there. And for the headphones I'm using, these are the Logitech G Pro X gaming headphones. I use them for a variety of things: gaming, video editing, listening to music. They sound absolutely great. They're a very well-rounded set of headphones, and I do have a video on these as well too, so I'll try and link that somewhere up top so you guys can check them out. But great set of headphones. So since we mentioned the headphones, we're going to kind of start off with the peripherals of my setup. The next peripheral I'm going to talk about, which I'm using right now as we are speaking, and this is the Blue Yeti. This is a really good standalone USB microphone. I like it because it's very simple, easy to use, and the sound quality is just fantastic with these. I know a lot of people are really interested in getting some very high-end audio microphones these days and going with like XLR devices, but those are really nice, and it definitely, from what I've seen, it takes a little bit more to get them tuned in just right to get the best sound quality. But I really like the Blue Yeti and microphones like this where it's just USB, because like I said, the sound quality is so great and the ease of use is just very simple opposed to using something like XLR. Okay, moving on to the mouse and keyboard. For the keyboard, I've been using a K95 Platinum from Corsair for quite a while now, and that's been a really nice keyboard. I actually got it as a gift a couple years ago, and it's been great. It's my first mechanical keyboard I've ever owned, and I really like it. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the K95 Platinum. It's got a really premium feel to it, using some different types of aircraft aluminum for the framing. And then for the switches, I went with brown. It's my first mechanical keyboard I've owned, so I wanted something pretty neutral and not anything too clicky like blue keys. So I went with the cherry brown keys, and they got a nice tactile feel to them, and I like them for gaming and a number of other things too, and it's really nice just to type on as well. And another nice feature about this Corsair keyboard and most of the other ones that they make is it is supported by Corsair iQ, so you can do all sorts of controls in the iQ software. Mostly when it comes to lighting, I keep it static, but there's lots of different lighting settings in there, so you can get some pretty cool effects on your keyboard as well. For the mouse, I've been using the Logitech G502 for quite a while now, and that is probably still my favorite gaming mouse. And it's nice just to use too for, editing videos and just general use. So moving on to the monitors. My main monitor is the Alienware AW3418DW ultra wide monitor. I've had this one for quite a while now, and I actually made a video talking about ultra wides and this one a little bit in particular. That was my last video on the channel, but I've had it for quite a while, and I really like the 34-inch ultra wide that it is, and it's got really good pixel density, being 3440 by 1440. It's not the fastest refresh rate at 100 Hz, but it still feels pretty smooth overall, and it works perfect for me because I don't do a whole lot of competitive gaming. I do play some more competitive titles, but I'm mostly a casual myself. And then up above that, I have two 24-inch 1080p IPS panels from Dell, which are just nice peripheral monitors. I usually throw up a YouTube video on this one or something like that. Or I'll have like my Xbox console companion running whenever I get on with the guys and do some gaming. So I'll throw that up on this screen. And then this one I almost always have NZXT cam pulled up just to kind of monitor my PC hardware and see where my temps are at, even though that's not usually a huge concern. And as far as other peripherals that I have, really the only other thing I have is a USB hub from Anker and then an SD card reader from Ugreen, which I just keep plugged in at all times, so I can just, whenever I have any footage I need to dump off of a SD card, I can just take it out of the camera and plug it right in. So I keep those mounted onto the desk and plugged into the computer at all times. But that's pretty much it for the peripherals. Now talking a little bit about the PC, which you guys are probably pretty familiar with this thing if you are subscribed to the channel or seen any of my other videos. This is my second water-cooled build in the N2719 from Phanteks as far as the case goes, and it's a bit of an older system as far as hardware and specs goes. The CPU is the i7-8700K, so we're still running Coffee Lake, and we got 32 gigs of RAM on a Strix motherboard, and we have a GTX 1080 Ti for the graphics card. But I rebuilt this system from before having it inside the Fractal Design Define R6, which we had a really cool build in. It turned out really neat. I had some very unique bends in that build as far as the rigid tubing goes. Unfortunately, I ended up taking that build apart, and I just wanted to redo the whole system and put it in the N2719, mainly just to get some cooler temperatures by adding some different fans in there. And I just wanted maintenance to be a bit easier being in a larger case. Everything was packed pretty tight in the Define R6, so moving up to a full tower case, the N2719 has been very easy to work in, and I just really like that case overall. It's so versatile. You can have two systems in it, and it looks really nice, and I'm a huge fan of Phanteks cases. One other thing we did too to make maintenance a little bit easier and hopefully a bit less repetitive, not having to maintain it as much, is I went from a pastel fluid to just a clear fluid from Corsair, their Hydro X series fluid, and so far it's held up really well. It's a mix of the Hydro X fluid and just regular distilled water. So I think the clear looks really cool too. It goes with any RGB you want to apply to your system, which is nice. Opposed to if you have a colored pastel fluid, you're kind of fixed to that color scheme. But overall, the system has been running really good. The temperatures are phenomenal in it. We're running anywhere between, I'd say, 27C to 30C at idle, and then under heavy loads like, for instance, Microsoft Flight Simulator, where you're trying to render real world data and stuff like that, and running it on high settings, still getting good frame rates, we only get up to about 50C. So I'm really happy with the way the system runs. And even though we got some older hardware in there, I think I'm still going to be running this system for a while longer. And even though this hardware is just like a couple years old, maybe 3 years old tops, it's not old time wise, but in terms of technology, we've had a lot of other hardware come out after it. So that's why I refer to it as old a little bit. So now talking about the setup itself a little bit, some of the decor I have, talking about the desk a little bit. We'll start off with the decor. These panels have become really popular. They're made by Art3D. I just found them on Amazon a while back. I'd seen a couple people have them on Instagram, and then I ended up picking them up. And now it seems like on a lot of these setup pages, I see everybody buying these panels. So they're getting popular, and they do look really nice. And around the setup, I just have some of the free-floating looking shelves from I ordered off Amazon as well. So they mount up really nice, and I'm able to keep a lot of decor on them as well too, and stuff like camera gear and other things like that. A lot of the stuff you'll notice in my setup is 3D printed because I bought a 3D printer a little while back. You guys that are subscribed to the channel might have seen a few 3D printing videos pop up here and there. And I bought a Creality Ender 3 Pro. So of course, when you buy a 3D printer, the first thing you do is go to Thingiverse and you're downloading all sorts of STL files, and you're running the printer nonstop, just printing whatever you can. And in my case, I went hog wild printing off all types of figures and decor. So some of my setups got like Pokemon stuff that I 3D printed. Behind me, I got like some guns from Halo, as you can see above me a little bit. I got like the Overwatch logo that I actually custom made and 3D modeled. The ghost from Destiny. So all sorts of stuff. So it's really fun running the 3D printer. And it's kind of cool that all the stuff that I have, I've been able to kind of showcase in my setup. And for the RGB lighting that I have in this setup, I actually just have a strip of RGB going around the back of my monitors. The two that I have mounted to the wall, the two 1080p panels. Those are just RGB lights from Govee, and they've been really nice so far. I actually had issues with them right out the bat. The power adapter they sent with them wasn't working, but luckily I had a spare around the house, so I plugged that in and got them working just fine. And they're nice soft RGB lighting with lots of different color options, and it is app controlled as well too, and they weren't very expensive, so I really like the Govee stuff so far. But that's pretty much it for the RGB lighting. I haven't really gone too crazy with it, but I might add a little bit in the future. And this little bit of orange you can kind of see behind me actually isn't a permanent RGB light. This is actually the Aperture MC, which this is one of my favorite cinematic camera lights that I use for, photo, video. But this is just a great light overall. It's got different RGB settings you can use on it. And then you can just use it as a standard light too and adjust the Kelvin scale, stuff like that. But really, really nice light. It's USB Type-C, so you can charge it up pretty easily. And it's also too has a 1/4x20 camera mount screw, so you can mount it to all sorts of camera gear. But definitely one of my favorite lights that I've picked up. And as you can see, it does add quite a bit. Now having the absence of that light, I just like putting this back here. So it kind of adds a little bit of depth, just gives it that extra touch. So the only other light I use too, which is my key light, which I'm looking at right now, and I'll actually give you guys a view of that. Alrighty guys, so this is what I see when I film these types of talking head videos. So I usually have my camera sitting on this tripod right here. And for the key light, I have a Godux SL60, which has been a really good key light. Definitely a must if you're getting into making YouTube videos like this, or you're getting into like product photography or really anything like that. But that's a great light for the money. It wasn't too expensive. Definitely not like any of the Aperture 120Ds or 300Ds, stuff like that. So that's been a great light so far. But yep, this is the setup, and this is the entertainment system that I was talking about earlier. Where I got the, sorry, the lighting's so bad. Where I have my 1080p LG TV, got the ITX rig, Xbox One S, Nintendo Switch, and like I said, here's the network rack. And this is my desk setup right here, just to kind of give you an idea of how everything's laid out. And I almost forgot, a very important part of a desk setup is the chair I'm sitting in. And this one happens to be the Secret Labs Omega gaming chair. I've had this chair for quite a while and I really like it. It's been great so far. It's worn pretty nice. There's a couple little imperfections I've made in the armrests and stuff like that on accident, and I guess just over time putting pressure on them, kind of cracked on both sides. But other than that, it's been a great chair, very comfortable, and I like how it can kind of recline and adjust quite a bit. So I really like it for gaming and, long hours editing or writing code like I was a while back. So it's been a comfy chair overall. So talking a little bit about the desk, as you can see right here, I just have the Corsair mouse and keyboard mat, which looks nice, keeps everything nice and neat. But as far as the desk goes, this is actually a custom top that my sister and I built with, we tried to do an epoxy river table. So we basically made a jig for it and put a couple pieces of wood that we cut in there and then just poured the epoxy in, and then we colored it after. And before we poured epoxy, we also did some burning techniques to the wood, but it turned out pretty nice. It's got some bubbles here and there, but other than that, it's pretty nice. Before, when I bought this desk, it actually came from Office Depot, so it had a glass top, so definitely couldn't do that with a large PC like this one. But as you can see, the framing's pretty nice, and I'm able to hide a lot of cables behind this wood panel back there. But as you can see, it looks pretty clean for the most part. I don't really have any cables showing. Alrighty guys, and one last setup bonus that I definitely wanted to include, and that is the Workbench. I don't know if you guys have seen any videos with me using this, but it just got a ton better. So let me get you flipped around and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So check this out guys. So this is the Workbench. I've used it in a few videos previously, but it just got a whole lot better. My sister and my friends at Custom Marine Products really hooked us up with a C-deck top and with the logo, and it looks tack sharp. It looks freaking awesome. So big shout out to my sister and all my friends at Custom Marine Products, as they really hooked me up for Christmas. Alrighty guys, that's gonna wrap up this video. I think I covered everything. This has been a long accumulation of different gear and hardware to really make this setup what it is today. And I have a video from a while back when we actually did a full remodel on this setup to make it look pretty much like it is now. The only things that's really changed since then is the PC, the network rack, stuff like that. So I'll link that video as well too, so you guys can check that out. But before the end of the year, I just kind of wanted to run through a video and kind of show what my setup looks like for gaming. And this is also my YouTube set, so you guys can get a look of what equipment I'm using to kind of film and stuff, and as far as lighting goes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, maybe found it helpful for some setup inspiration for a gaming setup, or if you want to kind of make a designated spot for YouTube videos and build your own set like this, where you just take like a corner of a room and build it out the way you want it and the way it works for you. If you guys are interested in any of the products that I pointed out throughout the setup tour, I'll also try to link videos to those that I might have made in the past on a more in-depth review, so you can check that out, and also some links to where you guys can purchase some of this stuff and find it a little bit easier. So I thought this would be kind of cool to do this time of year. At first I thought it would be a little bit too late, you know, as we're coming up on New Year's and yesterday was Christmas. But I think it'll be kind of cool to do another video like this next year around this time to kind of see how the setup changes again and see where it goes. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you had an awesome Christmas holiday, and I hope you have a great New Year's. I will be trying to put out some more videos up until New Year's, so I'll definitely be seeing you guys in the next videos coming up. As always guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.